In studio here this morning, we have Nancy Pattarini, who is with the Paige Group. Good morning.
Good morning.
Of course, the big topic is Downtown Hospital, and Kim Way and Ryan Hullinger are in studio now from NBBJ. So describe your, both architects, describe, one is, I'll let you do it because otherwise I'll butcher it.
Great. I'm Ryan Hullinger. I'm a design partner at NBBJ.
Got it.
So I work exclusively on healthcare projects. Our firm does projects around the world, and we do about half of our work is healthcare, half of it is mixed-use projects like corporate and commercial, things that aren't healthcare related.
Okay. All right.
But I'm completely focused on healthcare projects.
Okay, interesting. And that would be Kim, right?
Yep, so I'm Kim Way. I'm a principal with NBBJ, and I'm lead our urban design and planning practice. And
Got
I
it.
pretty much focus on the urban context of
Okay, so I'm intrigued by both now because this is all part of our big question. And when they're talking about going downtown, they're saying healthcare facilities just really don't do well downtown. The communities don't respond well. And additionally, you talk about urban economic development, the urban renewal from the 60s. They're trying to do the same thing to Utica now. They're going to destroy our downtown. So have at it. I'll start with
that one?
Start with Kim.
So again, projects like hospitals obviously have a big impact on wherever they're built.
Yeah.
And they bring people to a place. They bring employees, doctors, staff, and then they bring patients and visitors and all that. So bringing that type of a use to any area is helpful from an economic development standpoint. A downtown site for a hospital is also really special because downtowns are usually very well served by transportation, so they have really good access. And again, they have all of the services and amenities that a hospital would need. So a downtown location for a hospital is a really, really great thing. And
of course, we have a brand new, the arterial, brand new going through, opportunities to have, somebody said the other day, well, what happens if there's a game or a concert going on? How is the ambulance? How will the ambulances get in? How will people get in?
So, with any large project where traffic is an issue, you have to plan for all circumstances. So, usually when you're mixing hospital traffic with events traffic, there's usually a special plan put in place. And so traffic is directed, one, to serve the event, and then there's obviously a plan for how ambulances get to the hospital.
Got it.
It's always thought out in advance, and it's usually not a problem.
There are some really sophisticated tools right now to model those traffic flows, computer simulations that have made the capabilities for understanding how those different traffic systems work together much more viable.
How do you? What's the game plan for aesthetics? The aesthetics of all this, because there is something to be said for. We want to, the courthouse, for instance, was built very creatively. It didn't seem like it was a brand new building. It seemed to fit in with some of the older structures. And will that go, by the way? Does that stay? The courtemass?
That we are in the process of evaluating everything in the area, and so it's premature to say what stays and what goes.
Same thing with the police station. It would be the same thing. Right. So you want to answer that?
Sure.
The facade.
That's a great example, right? So what we're always working to do is come up with a materiality and a character for the building that's complementary to its context. And Utica is a beautiful city. There are all kinds of examples of beautiful historic architecture in the city, and we are working to reference that in the way we think about the aesthetics and character. We're also thinking about where Utica is headed in the future. So it's a combination of its past, its present, and then all the very exciting development that's happening in the future. So we work to find a character that's in the sweet spot, that's in the middle of that, that's going to resonate with the past and the traditional beautiful buildings, but is also going to be of our time and not look old-fashioned, but is going to present a character that's emblematic of precision medical care, and that's important too.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a building that projects a sense of the state of the art and the kind of care that's being delivered, but does so in a contextually sensitive way.
All right. You want to add to that, Kim?
No, that was
I want to ask Nancy, by the way, is with the Paige Group, and you guys got involved I think at a good time when things were beginning to get a little bit, you had the people protesting and signs, and you guys got involved, and the goal is, I assume, to really communicate with the public here.
Well, yeah, but even more importantly, get input.
Get
and
input.
I will tell you, the feedback has been fantastic. I think we're about more than 50 organizations and still going that we've met with. There's a real common interest, and it is about the aesthetic look of the hospital, the facility, and how it complements the surrounding area. And the other one is connectivity. Those are the top two. And MET means how well it connects the neighborhoods. Yeah.
I do want to say, and I wasn't going to read this, but Michael just sent this in. Wow, these two engineers almost have as much job experience about the hospitals as Brett Truitt and Jim Brock. So I would... Now, I like both of those guys, but let's talk... It's very easy for us to say, as laymen, I'm a businessman. I think this is going to hurt, and here's why. I've done my research. Can you show research? Because these, of course, are the two guys that are really intent on not allowing this to come downtown. Can you talk about the research examples of hospitals that have been put in downtown, especially newer concepts? Can you talk about some track record?
Sure. Kim and I have been working for the past 8 years on a hospital in New Orleans, actually. So the hospitals there were a couple. They were wiped out by Katrina. And our firm was brought on to design 2 new hospitals there that are across the street from each other. Both of those were in neighborhoods that were extremely challenged, disadvantaged, and the hospitals were put in place there in a way that would provide all kinds of economic velocity to that site. Now those hospitals are finished. In the last year, 2 years, they've both opened, and you're seeing all kinds of economic ripple effect that's coming out from them. Houses in the neighborhoods that are being restored, new businesses that are coming up to support the thousands of employees that work in these hospitals. And we were actually able to take the leadership at Mohawk Valley to tour those facilities. So they've seen that, and they've seen the neighborhood impact. We think that's a really good example of the positive energy that a hospital can bring to a downtown that's on the way up. Yeah,
and a neighborhood impact. I met with somebody yesterday, and there was a sidewalk with the pavers, the old flagstone pavers, and it was a pretty large sidewalk in terms of, and there were all these red and gray paving stones, and I this was my example. So if you take all those red paving stones, which are all over here, and you fix them all up, think of this as being the area that needs to be developed in Utica, which is a pretty large area. West Utica's in a rough shape. There's improvement in East Utica, but Bleecker Street could use a lot of help. So, and even Genesee Street. So when you remove those red pavers, it takes a burden off of you and allows you to focus on this other area of the sidewalk. My analogy, can you talk about that? Do you understand we would understand.
Well, so again,
it's pretty obvious.
This is not just about a building
right.
Coming into downtown. It's about a whole environment that we're going to create around it. And that environment needs to connect into all the other existing environments around it. So it's really about the genesis of an idea that gets implemented, that starts to create change, and that change has a ripple effect. So if I get the analogy, the sidewalk can start to spread and connect. And
well, the analogy was, I apparently didn't do a good job, but the analogy is that you've just removed a whole section of area that you don't have to worry about anymore. It's just brand new and developed, which can allow you to concentrate on Bleecker Street. It can allow you to concentrate more on Genesee Street and West Utica, areas that also need. If we wait to have this done organically through private investment, we're looking at many, many years. I'm not sure we'll all get to see the big transformation.
Well, and that was my point. It's going to be a ripple effect. You start with the one thing, and it's about a building coming in, but then it's about the site, and then about the site connected to other sites and expanding throughout the downtown in terms of its impact on the economy and the economic impact.
But that one thing that we're starting with is a really big thing, and that's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a big chunk of that you don't have to worry about anymore.
Right.
It'll be dealt with.
And even the fact that hospitals are operating 24 hours a day, there's a safety factor that is bringing to the neighborhood that some businesses would not be if it was simply a business use. Like Kim said, we're working to develop layout opportunities for the hospital that not only connect it to the other districts and neighborhoods, but turn the hospital into a connector. And instead of it being a barrier or any kind of impediment to growth, it actually becomes a conduit that allows people to move from one district to another through the hospital 24 hours a day because of the safety that a hospital provides.
I do want to ask you if the, and I'm not sure you guys can answer this question, but if the, somebody had thrown this question out, if the police station was taken and the courthouse was taken and had to be reconstructed, who would pay for that? I'm not sure I can ask you guys that question if you'd know the answer. That's probably more of a political question.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. And then I would say, why not the St. Luke's campus? You hear people say that all the time. Why does it have to go downtown? Why not just use that campus up there?
Well, again, I think the opportunity here is again, we're redesigning a new hospital that's going to totally change the way that healthcare is delivered in this region. And I think to do it in the best way is to find a site that provides all the attributes that you need to be successful with a contemporary healthcare facility. And I mentioned before, access is a big deal. I think that the downtown site provides great access. It has great visibility. People see it. They know it. They drive by it all the time. And I think a location that is central like that in the community, and the downtowns are always very central locations. So not only the access, but the services that you need to support a new facility like that. The downtown has all of those services and amenities that will provide for the people that work there, for people that come to visit. Different than other sites that are maybe a little bit more remote, not central, may not have the ability to provide all the services that you need to support it.
I've had people ask, what will happen to the cost of real estate down there? And have you seen a trend in the past in New Orleans where all of a sudden doctors' offices are filling up all those spots around the hospital and the rent ends up going up? Have you seen any figures on that? And
clearly,
demand is a good thing.
Clearly, when somebody invests in an area and invests in a big way, like a new hospital, it definitely has an impact on property value. We did see it in New Orleans. Again, it was in a historic neighborhood, the Mid-City neighborhood. Again, disadvantaged, low property values, a lot of rental, and that is totally turned around. So the rental properties are now being bought. People, as Ryan said, are investing in them, and it's lifting up the whole neighborhoods around the hospital. And certainly, as people improve their property, value goes up. So,
and tell
that's
me
economic growth.
And tell me, if you would, about the one of the concerns that a lot of people have had is when they're not going to leave the hospital. It's going to be a new cafe. It's going to have so many different amenities that the current hospital doesn't have. More modern opportunities. So people are going to go to the hospital. They're not going to leave. They're not going to frequent those businesses that surround it. What are your thoughts, and what have you seen?
We'll work on a hospital that has a porosity to it. A contemporary approach to hospital design is to not build a hermetically sealed box, but it's to integrate the campus with the neighborhood and specifically nature around the hospital. There's tons of research right now about the therapeutic aspects of being connected to nature, daylight and views. So we can bring daylight and views into the hospital, but we can also create green spaces on the campus and adjacent to the hospital that encourage people to step outside and encourage people to move into the neighborhood. So we've definitely moved away from this sense of the hospital being sealed and enclosed and self-contained, and we're working on programs or designs that encourage people to move out.
Got it. You want to add to that, Ken?
Yeah. So again, it's a lot about choice. I mean, the hospital can only offer so much, and so if somebody's there for an extended stay, they want the ability to get out and experience other things, whether it's food, beverage, whatever.
Right.
And so I think as we think about it, it's about bringing people to this site. The hospital obviously has to provide the services to support its population, but that population may want to have those choices to get out. We're also trying to promote this whole idea of a health and wellness area. And so we want people to get out of the hospital, walk around, be healthy, have healthy choices. And so, we're looking at an environment around the hospital that encourages people to walk, health circuits, public art. Art is a great healer, things like that.
Nancy, you want to wrap this up?
Just that, the hospital's goal is to involve all the surrounding properties and businesses in this process. And we're starting that now, and we want more of that. And even to the point of they're working very closely with the police chief and the mayor. Yeah. That's I said, it's an evolving process, but it's being done directly with the affected parties.
Well, I think this is really helpful. It gives us an idea, and to have the architects here that are working on it, it's very, very helpful. So
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Kim Way, Ryan Hullinger, and of course Nancy Pattarini. Thank you so much.
The mvhealthsystem.org.
mvhealthsystem.org.
Yes.
All of it's up there.